I don't know why it hit me so hard this time when a former player passed away. When Rashawn Salam passed away, I had similar feelings, but I don't know. I just was really emotional and I could relate, and there was some empathy behind it because he was alone in a hotel room dying. And I felt that way, right? I've been in a hotel room and was dying alone, luckily for me. And then there's just, I just had I have survivor's guilt in all of this too. And that's just, something I'm working on with my therapist, and because he was a hell of a player and he'd done so much for his community and everything like that. And why couldn't more have been done? And so I was hyperbolic and I blamed the NFL and I blamed the NFLPA. And I wasn't blaming them, but I do think that there's accountability to be had by a lot of different people. And I think they can do more.
What was your relationship with Vincent? And not that you couldn't be upset if you didn't know him. What was it though?
None, nothing. Wow. Just we're former players. There's 27,000 of us.
Yeah.
He played for the Chargers. He played for the Bucks. I did both too. They're former teams of mine. Yeah. He was from a small college, Northern Colorado. I'm from a small town in Montana. And there's similarities. But what I did feel was all alone in a hotel, dying. That's where our connection was. It's empathetic. So every human life is precious. And I really do feel like the NFL loses that opinion a lot. And it's got to be hard, right? You're selling a product that's violent in form, yet you still need to be there for players when symptoms erupt and become a problem later in life. How do you go about both things? It's a balancing act,
Yeah.
It's got to be extremely hard. So I don't envy them, but I know they have the resources to help.
Do you have some regret, Ryan, about the way you went at the NFL and the PA?
Well, it's hyperbolic. Yeah. I mean, I was angry. I'm angry. So a lot of times when you're angry and emotional, you blame others. It's not their fault. Who reached out and what it actually did is a ton of my NFL brothers and peers reached out, and we've been talking the last 3 days about it and what we can do differently. This is going to be about solutions, so something like this can never happen again. It can't.
What is the answer to that, Ryan? How do you make sure that you guys who give your bodies, give minds in a lot of cases to entertain people, how do we make sure that you all are safe after you retire from playing football?
Well, there's personal responsibility. Don't get me wrong, and but the collective bargaining agreement has to establish for benefits and things like that establish that for former players. I particularly think a transition program immediately exiting the NFL, where it consists of therapy, even maybe a kind of rehab stay for 30 days. And I also think a players only facility. The NFL has a Pro Football Hall of Fame museum with the best players to ever play in there. Busts are in there. I think there should be a facility for players who built their brand and whose minds are fragile and need help. I think that's how we do it. But I'll put it this way, when you make a statement like I did Monday night, I opened myself up to following up with action. And, if family members or my brothers are in need or in a place where I once was, call me. I'll be on the first flight. I'll be in your living room. I'll go with you through it. We need purpose when we're done. And all my mistakes and all my poor choices and all the things that brought me to where I'm at right now may have actually given me my purpose.
What would you say to Commissioner Goodell if he was watching this? He's somebody obviously that could get the ball rolling in a real way from the NFL's side of things. What would you say to him, Ryan?
I don't know. I'd probably yell at him. He makes a hell of a lot of money. You can, when you work for multi-billion-dollar companies, but, imagine what that money could have done in terms of health and wellness for Vincent Jackson, right? And that family and everything like that. Because, when you don't recognize that your sport, leads to brain trauma, then it's probably pretty hard to try to do things to prevent it or or treat it down the line. So it, you know, he's responsible for taking care of $32 billion or 32 billionaires. You know, that's his responsibility. That's why he keeps getting the job. And, you know, I feel like he's been more open-minded about some things, but people are dying. My brothers are disappearing. I should have been one of them. You know, I'm here for a reason. There's no reason why I should still be here. So there's got to be a higher power or a higher purpose to why I still am. Any football player that played for an extended period of time, or not even that, just, you know, played contact football significantly, you got to believe you're living with some sort of some form of CTE. I do. I believe I am. You know, I believe that we know what the symptoms look like. They can't be diagnosed until post-mortem, so we can't know for sure.
Yeah.
But I believe I am, and I think I'm just lucky because of the trouble I got into, and I had to go to prison. I had to confront these issues with the addiction, but I've had a brain tumor 10 years ago. You know, I have depression. I have addiction issues. Those are all symptoms to CTE. And so luckily for me, I've been able to address them with therapy, with fellowship, with open and honest communication. So I'm a lucky person who's dealing with it, but it doesn't mean it still doesn't affect me all the time. You know, I'm impulsive, you know, I get angry for no reason. Sometimes I'm depressed, you know, but I know that I have to, you know, do the right thing. And I know that exists, and that's okay.